Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Learn and Talk English podcast. I'm Emily, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. Today's episode is all about something we all have inside us. Something powerful, motivating, and deeply personal. Our goals and aspirations. In this episode, we'll explore how to talk about your dreams, whether it's traveling the world, building a career, or becoming the person you've always wanted to be. You'll learn how to use natural English phrases like, I've always dreamed of, one day I hope to, I'm working toward, my goal is to, and even, I want to make a difference. And yes, we have two amazing stories for you, told by Maria, our returning guest. These stories are emotional, inspiring, and full of real-life vocabulary you can start using right away. Let me bring in my co-host, Marcus. How are you doing today?
Hey, Emily, I'm doing really well, and I am so excited about this episode. You know, being able to talk about your goals in English isn't just useful, it's empowering. When you can express what drives you, what matters to you, people listen. So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive into our first story.
Thank you, Marcus, and hello to everyone listening. It's always a pleasure to be here. A few years ago, I had the honor of working with 4 international students in the U.S., all from very different parts of the world. One was Anya, from India, quiet, thoughtful, always with a book in her hand. Another was Min, from Vietnam, sharp, determined, and full of energy. There was also Keiza, from Rwanda. She spoke softly, but her words carried wisdom. And finally, Hiro, from Japan, gentle, meticulous, and deeply curious. They were all recent arrivals, and they had one thing in common. They had been accepted to postgraduate programs in the United States. But before they could start, they had to pass one crucial test, the TOEFL. They had already overcome so much: visa interviews, cultural differences, homesickness. But this was the final gate, and it felt enormous. They all spoke some English, of course, but academic English, formal writing, speaking under pressure. That was different, and worse, they didn't believe they were good enough. During our first group session, Min said, "I can understand most conversations, but when I speak, I freeze." Anya nodded and whispered, "I've read novels in English, but writing essays, I feel like a beginner." Hiro added, "In Japan, we study grammar, but I've never had a real conversation in English." And Keiza said quietly, "I'm scared people won't understand me. I'm scared of sounding wrong." They were bright, they were capable, but they were holding back. So we made a plan, a simple one. We would meet 4 times a week. We would write, we would speak, we would listen, we would learn, together. The first few weeks were hard. Anya's essays were full of beautiful ideas but tangled grammar. Min rushed through his speaking responses, stumbling over words. Hiro struggled to write without looking up every verb. Keiza would go silent halfway through a sentence. But still, they showed up. Every single day. We practiced expressing opinions, summarizing lectures, responding to prompts. We laughed when Min accidentally said chicken instead of kitchen. We clapped when Hiro finished his first full paragraph without using a translator. We celebrated when Keiza finally said, "I have something to say," and said it with confidence. They started writing journals in English. They sent voice notes in English. They even started texting each other jokes in English. Something was changing, not just in their vocabulary or their grammar, but in their hearts. They were becoming confident. 2 months in, I asked them, each the same question, How do you feel now? Anya smiled. I don't feel lost anymore. Now I can express what's inside my mind. Min laughed. I still talk fast, but now I know what I'm saying. Keisa's voice didn't shake. She said, I believe people will understand me, because I finally understand myself. And Hiro, in the clearest voice I'd ever heard from him, and said, English is no longer a wall, it's a door. Then came test day. They arrived early, nervous, focused. They took deep breaths. They read carefully. They spoke slowly. They trusted themselves. When the results came back, they had all passed. Not just passed. They had done incredibly well. Anya scored in the top 10% in writing. Min got a near-perfect speaking score. Keisa improved by 30 points from her first practice test. Hiro? He wrote one of the highest-rated essays in the cohort. They cried. I cried. And when I asked them what helped the most, Anya said, it wasn't just the lessons. It was the belief. Min added, we didn't just learn English. We learned that we could do hard things. Hiro said, I found my voice. And Keisa, with a tear in her eye, whispered, we didn't come here confident. But we leave ready. Now they are scholars, researchers, contributors. They write papers, give presentations, mentor others. Their journey wasn't just about passing a test. It was about learning a language that opened the world and learning to believe they belonged in it. And if you're listening to this and thinking, that could never be me, let me tell you something. It absolutely can. Just like Anya, Min, Keisa, and Hiro, you have everything you need, right now, to begin. Improving your English isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, practicing daily, and believing in yourself. So keep going. Listen to this podcast as many times as you need. Mimic the expressions. Repeat the phrases out loud. Let the rhythm and emotion of the language become part of your voice. And don't forget, learn and talk. English is here for you every step of the way. Subscribe, stay tuned, and join us on this journey toward fluency, confidence, and the future you deserve.
Wow. I have chills. That story was just so powerful. You could really feel their struggle, their doubt, but also their growth. And I think so many of our listeners can relate to that feeling. That voice in your head that says, what if I'm not good enough? Or, what if I sound silly when I speak?
Exactly. That fear of not being understood. It's real. I've worked with so many learners who say, I know what I want to say, but when I try, the words don't come out right. And yet, what we saw in this story is that progress doesn't come all at once. It comes through daily effort. It comes through small victories.
Yes. One of my favourite moments was when Hiro said, English is no longer a wall, it's a door. That gave me goosebumps.
It's such a beautiful metaphor, right? At first, English felt like something that blocked them from opportunity. But over time, with practice and belief, that same English became the thing that opened the way forward.
And the transformation, not just in language, but in confidence, is what really stood out. At first, they were afraid to speak. They felt invisible. But by the end, they were leading conversations, expressing ideas, and even supporting one another.
The emotional journey was just as important as the academic one. Anya said, now I can express what's inside my mind. That's the heart of communication. That's the power of language.
Yes. And when Keisa said, I believe people will understand me because I finally understand myself, that moment hit hard. Because learning English isn't just about exams or vocabulary. It's about being seen, being heard, being understood.
Absolutely. And those phrases we heard, Like, I'm not giving up. I have a clear vision of my future. We didn't come here confident, but we leave ready. These are powerful expressions you can adopt right now. Say them out loud. Write them in your journal. Use them when you talk to your English-speaking friends or teachers.
And let's not forget, they didn't do it alone. They leaned on each other. They built a little community, just like the one we're building here with this podcast. You listening right now, you're not alone either.
That's such an important point. If you're struggling with English, don't give up. If you feel stuck, keep showing up. Keep practicing, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
And keep listening. Listen to this podcast again. Repeat the words you hear. Try saying things like, I'm working toward becoming fluent, or I'm learning every day, or even just, I believe I can do this. Because once you start speaking those words with confidence, your mindset changes, and that's when the real growth begins.
So true. English isn't something you just study. It's something you grow into. Like Hero said, it's not a wall, it's a door.
And you have the key. You just have to keep turning it, one phrase at a time. So wherever you are in your English journey, just remember, progress takes time, but every small step counts. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up, just like they did.
Exactly. And if they could do it, facing fear, pressure, and self-doubt, so can you. Keep practicing. Keep believing in yourself. And most importantly, keep going.
And now let's hear another powerful story from Maria. A story about someone who followed their dream to help others and discovered that sometimes our greatest goals come from the heart. Let's listen.
Thanks, Emily, and welcome back all of you. The next story I want to share is one that truly stayed with me. It's about someone whose dream wasn't just to achieve something for herself, but to bring comfort, dignity, and healing to others. Her name is Sophia. Sophia grew up in a small coastal town where the ocean met the mountains, and kindness was more common than wealth. Her parents worked long hours, her mother as a school receptionist and her father in construction. They didn't have a lot, but they gave her love, structure, and a belief that she could do something meaningful with her life. From the age of 8, Sophia was fascinated by how the body worked. She would sit with her grandmother, who had heart problems, and ask about every machine, every pill, every appointment. She didn't just want to understand. She wanted to help. She told me once, I didn't grow up dreaming of money or fame. I just wanted to hold someone's hand and say, you'll be okay, and mean it. Sophia's dream was to become a doctor. But in her country, medical school was competitive and expensive. And the best options? They were abroad, in English-speaking countries. She knew this meant more than just studying biology or anatomy. It meant expressing herself in another language, one she had only learned in school textbooks and classroom drills. She could read, but not confidently. She could write, but slowly. And when she tried to speak, her voice would shake. Her hands would sweat. The words got stuck between fear and frustration. Her first attempt at writing a personal statement in English was heartbreaking. She said, I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it. The words on the page didn't sound like her. They sounded flat, empty, and yet, she didn't give up. She woke up every day at 5 a.m. to study English vocabulary. She listened to podcasts while doing chores. She recorded herself reading medical articles aloud, then listened back, cringing and correcting. She found an online mentor, a retired nurse from Canada, who helped her practice patient dialogues over video calls. they would go through phrases like, "Can you describe your pain?" and "I'm here to help you feel better." Bit by bit, Sophia's English became stronger, and so did her confidence. She submitted her application. She took the required exams. She sat for a Zoom interview, palms sweaty, heart racing. The interviewer asked, "Why do you want to study medicine in English?" She smiled and said, "Because English connects me to the world, and I want to care for the world." Weeks later, she received the news, accepted into an international medical university in Ireland. It was one of the proudest moments of her life, but the hard part wasn't over. That first semester was overwhelming. The lectures were fast, the vocabulary was dense, group discussions were intimidating. She often left class with a headache, not from the science, but from the language. Still, she persisted. She carried a notebook everywhere, writing down new phrases like shortness of breath or patient consent. She joined study groups. She practiced English with classmates from Nigeria, Poland, and South Korea. She volunteered at a local health clinic, where elderly patients would smile and say, "You remind me of my granddaughter." One day, she helped calm a child during a blood test. The mother said, "Thank you. You made him feel safe." And in that moment, Sophia realized her English didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be sincere. By her second year, something shifted. She started leading case presentations. She gave a talk at a student conference. She even co-wrote a research paper on community health in underserved areas and presented it in English to a room full of professors. Sophia told me, "English is no longer the language I feared. It's the language I use to serve." Now, in her final year, Sophia moves through hospital wards with quiet confidence. She speaks to patients from every background. She listens with compassion. She explains diagnoses in a way that feels human, clear, reassuring. And here's the most beautiful part. She now mentors other international students who feel like they don't belong. She sits with them, just like someone once did for her, and says, "I know how hard this is, but you're not alone, and you can do this." Her goal was never just about becoming a doctor. It was about becoming someone who could stand in a room full of uncertainty and bring hope. Sophia's journey reminds us that dreams don't have to be loud to be life-changing. They just need to be real and pursued with heart. So wherever you are in your English journey, whether you're struggling to form a sentence or dreaming of giving a speech, remember Sophia. Remember her courage, her humility, and her voice. And now, let's go back to Emily and Marcus for a few reflections on what we can all learn from her story.
What an inspiring journey. Honestly, I felt every word. Sophia turned fear into fuel. Her dream to help others. It became her power. It gave her the strength to push through some truly difficult moments, and she kept going, even when everything inside her said, "I can't."
Yes, and the vocabulary in her story? It captured such incredible emotional depth. Let's go over a few key expressions our listeners can really hold on to, because these are more than just words.
One powerful phrase was, "I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it." That captures what so many language learners feel. It's about more than just words. It's about identity.
And then, when Sophia said, "English connects me to the world," that's a phrase anyone can borrow when talking about why they want to learn. It's a beautiful reminder that English is a bridge, not just to education, but to people, to careers, to dreams.
Another one I loved was, "My English didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be sincere." That's a phrase I wish every learner would carry in their heart.
And of course, The final message was powerful. Dreams don't have to be loud to be life-changing. That's a wonderful expression to use when describing personal goals, especially ones that are deeply meaningful but quiet.
We've heard two beautiful stories today, and they were full of practical vocabulary and expressions for talking about goals and aspirations in English. Let's recap some of the most useful ones. I've always dreamed of. One day I hope to. I'm working toward. My goal is to. I have a clear vision of my future. I didn't come here confident, but I leave ready. English is no longer a wall, it's a door. My English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be sincere. I want to make a difference.
Each of these phrases tells a story. They help you communicate what drives you, what challenges you've overcome, and what your hopes are for the future.
We encourage all of you listening to replay this episode. Don't just listen once. Listen again and again. Pause and repeat the phrases. Mimic the tone and rhythm. Speak along with us.
The more you listen, the more these expressions will become part of your own English voice. Let these stories inspire you, and let the vocabulary guide you.
And remember, you're not alone. The Learn and Talk English podcast is here to support you every step of the way. So if this episode helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends who are also learning.
And stay tuned. We've got more episodes coming that will help you talk about your feelings, your goals, and your life in English.
Until next time, keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep talking English.